Good evening and welcome back to Mystic Matters. We are the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. And once again, I'm pinch hitting all by myself, but you know it's okay this evening because I have a wonderful guest who has not been on the show for a very long time, but has been in my life for a very long time. She does not need an introduction. And even her face, without mentioning her name, you will recognize her. She's been a force in the Mistick and New London County for many, many, many years, more than 16 years, but I'm not going to give away her age. But I'd like to welcome back this evening Joyce Olson Resnikoff. Good evening, Joyce.
Well, good evening.
And you know, I feel like it's just the view or something,
well,
you know.
Well, we could get onto any subject.
We could get on. And
absolutely.
you know, they should really hire us. What do you think?
That's a good idea. Yes.
Joyce, it's so wonderful to have you on the show this evening. And I want to give the viewers out there just a little bit of a history before we go into the exciting news that you want to actually announce this evening.
Right.
So you are the one and only Joyce Olson Resnikoff.
Correct.
And I'm just going to set you up a little bit because, which really needs no setup, but Joyce has known me for a very long time. I'm going to say since the sixth grade. In the sixth grade. My father actually knew her father. I was at the opening 43 years ago, handing out roses at the meeting house with Jocelyn McFarland when the Old Mystic Village was opened up. And so that is sort of the historical knowledge. And then we had our wonderful business there for 15 years in the Old Mystic Village. Joyce, I just want to ask you a few questions. So
okay, go ahead.
Just give us a little bit of a history for those people, a short history of how the Old Mystic Village came about.
Well, my father was a pioneer in shopping centers. He built his first shopping center in East Haven in 1947.
Wow.
And
the war was still going on at that
No.
time. Oh, 45, that's right, yes.
47.
Yes, 47.
And
Just ended.
yeah.
Some tough times.
Well, a little bit, yeah. And anchored by First National Store on one end and then a bank on the other. And then went up the coastline. In 1953, he built the Groton Shopping Plaza. And that was the first in southeastern Connecticut. And it was known as a bread and butter center because we had First National Stores, we had Youth Colony, we had Goodson's, we had Style Shop.
Style Shop,
Yeah.
Richardson's.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the shoe store. I mean, it was everybody, and Benny's was there.
Okay, but I remember S&H Green Stamps.
Oh, yes, that's right, and Bastions.
And Bastions. And CBT Bank.
Yes.
We are going back a long ways.
Oh, yeah, and we still own it.
Yeah.
But then Jerry, my twin brother, and my father, they were looking for something in Mistick. And I remember in 1963, my father bought some farmland. And at that time, Route 95 was under construction.
Right.
And Dr. Peter, I shouldn't say his name, he's a dentist, owned this beautiful home right next to the cemetery. And of course that got moved.
Right.
But there was the farmhouse, and my father thought, I'm going to get Edward Malley Company, because we came from New Haven area. And that was a wonderful department store. And he thought he'd build his first mall. Well, Edward Malley Company came up and they said, the population of 250,000 is not enough.
Wow.
And that was for a mall. So we stopped. And then Jerry, well, we all went to Peddler's Village in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And he had that dream, and we went through 8 architects to get the right New England feel. And that's why you have a meeting house in the Old Mystic Village, which is dedicated to my parents, and it's used as a church, and people get married there. But when we opened that in 1973, we had like 40 stores, and we had the duck pond, and it was not as overgrown now with the big
Right,
trees,
right.
but it was a happening because in the history of shopping areas, you have a strip mall, which my father always did. Then you have a mall. And then the next is a village where you stroll around. You don't
Right.
have to shop. You can sit on a bench. You see people walking by.
You're taking the
and it's
sights.
safe.
Yes.
It's safe.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
we made sure the parking was all around the village.
Instead of in one particular area.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so my father started getting sick when in 1973. So he came back for the opening, and we have a photo that's in my office,
He's there.
taken
Yeah.
on 73, and he was very proud of Old Mystic Village, and he saw it. My mother saw it, and so we all have the memories. And now we have a Bestemors, which is Norwegian for grandmother, and my son, Sean Regan, runs that. And that's in honor of my mother. That's why he named that store.
Bestemors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bestemors.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of the history of the old Mystic Village.
Right.
And it has evolved over the years,
Oh, yes.
too.
Yes.
Not only are the grounds beautiful, but there's some various stores that... Actually, there's some stores that have been there really forever.
You have Giorgetti's that's
Right.
over 40 years
Yeah,
old.
yeah.
And I remember, I always love telling this story. He called and said he was interested in a pewter shop. And he had a little corner in a store.
Yes, he did.
And I went down. He was an engineer. And he and his wife, Joyce, sat in my first office. And he thought, no, I'll start with a 600.
Yeah.
And it was the pewter.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you what I am so proud of. When I go into Giorgetti's now, he has his daughter
It's the
and
next
his son,
yeah.
but then the grandchildren
Yeah.
are in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wonderful. And he sits there with those suspenders. But
it's
a wonderful store.
It's a generations.
Oh, yeah.
And
Wonderful.
I know too, Joyce, and I worked with you a long time, that you're very much a proponent of small business.
Oh, I am.
How important is that to not only to the area, but to the state of Connecticut?
But can I tell you, it's to the country. Small business
That's a very good point.
Is the
Right.
economy. What I'm proud of, and I did all the leasing. My brother was in the construction of it, Jerry Olson. So when I did the leasing, I wanted to hear their dream, and especially women.
Yes.
And
yes.
I don't know how many people realize, but back in the 70s, if a woman came in, they couldn't go to a bank and get loan. They
That's
had
correct.
to have their husband sign.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was married.
They
and
couldn't
I
get a
realized-
mortgage
Oh,
either.
no.
No.
They had to have that little signature. And so I realized when I started leasing to women, especially women and their husbands, I wanted the husbands to come in and sit down. I said to them, you understand, you may have to help out in the family. You may have to do the cooking. You may have to do the washing. You may have to come in and help in the store, because the stores were open 7 days a week. And it was the woman's dream.
Yeah, it was there to
Because
support
it
that
was
dream.
most
Yep.
of them were EB men.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I am very, very proud of the success of women in that village.
Well, you've helped change the thinking, Joyce,
Oh, yeah.
and I think that
Yeah.
it's come along, and now you can see you're actually sort of reaping the benefits too
Oh, yeah.
of seeing some of these women.
Well, you know, I have one that I always tell my tenants. You'll never have a tenant that will say, shake my hand, welcome to the family, now you're part of the family.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Because
yeah.
we have a society where everybody lives way out.
Right.
I mean, they had malls up in Rhode Island. Chicago
Yeah.
was the landlord.
Yeah,
So
and it was crazy. Yeah.
But we're not absentee landlords, and that's good and bad, I guess.
Yeah. So we talk about the village sort of evolving, and over the years, the many years, 43 years, we have a luminary.
Yes, big,
we have
big.
Even right down to the Garlic Festival now, the Chowder Festival. We also have Halloween. Oh, and let's not forget Easter. I remember going up to, oh my gosh, Christine and Bunny, and they would say, I was president of the Old Mystic Village Merchants Association. I'd say, how you doing with the eggs? And they say, we need some help. And I was like, oh, you know what I mean? Stuffing those eggs. But a lot went into the event. So here we are, 2015. And for the first time, Joyce, the very first time in the history of Mistick, the Old Mystic Village, I'm very proud to say, is hosting the Taste of Mistick. And congratulations.
Well, thank you. You know, we wouldn't have thought about it. But the Chamber decided not to do it. And I know, I've been in tourism for 40 years, and I know the value of saying Taste of Mistick. And when you have a big event, you're not going to lose it.
Hold on to it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, because nobody else can do it.
Right.
So what we have done is expand it. We have new thinking. We have about 25 restaurants for our first year. We have enormous bands. We have an enormous tent, and the tent is 60 feet by 170.
Oh
and
my
you will
gosh.
be able to sit, listen to those wonderful bands, maybe dance. We have Channel 3 as a major sponsor.
Oh my gosh. Now, is this a 3-day event?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Friday is from 5 to 10. And Saturday is 11 to 10, and then Sunday is 11 to 5.
Okay, and there's ample parking?
Oh, all around. And, you know, we have a history of supporting our local charities. I want to talk about something else, too, that we do, and I'm proud of it. But we decided we wanted 2 charities to benefit from it. And we chose the Mistick Aquarium and the Mistick YMCA.
Great choices, Joyce.
And you know what is wonderful? We will have over 300 volunteers from both of those organizations.
But that's
part of the community.
Right, but it's also, Joyce, you know, the collaboration.
Absolutely.
And you've been about collaboration. You've spoken about it. You've always said, you know, we can't do this alone. I know that. And when I was younger, you're very much a voice in Hartford. I mean, so you have looked at Mistick and said, we're more than Mistick.
Yes.
We hold the name, but we're more than Mistick.
But we are the base.
Yes.
And I think people
can
lose it. We can lose it.
Yeah.
I have been fortunate, very fortunate, to have a second husband that we saw the world. And I'm always asking, and where are you from? And where are you from? And I'll say Mistick.
And they know it.
And they know it.
It's international.
Oh, tall ships.
Yeah. Oh,
tall
absolutely.
Ships.
Yeah.
So we do. We have an area, even the Navy personnel, when they retire, they come and retire in Mistick.
They sure do.
So they know the value of it. Yes, yes.
So tell us, you can't do this alone without the community support. Tell us a little bit about your sponsors.
Well, the sponsors.
And I want to tell you, if we can just get this, there you have it. There you have it. Look at this. Perfect. I asked Joyce, I said, Joyce, this is a beautiful, beautiful poster, and I have one to put in my stores, and it's just great. So tell us a little bit about your sponsors.
Well, of course, we have Bud Light and F&F. We have United Builders out of Westerly.
Okay.
And they have been our suppliers for 43 years, the Sloshberg family.
Yeah, very good family.
Yes.
Very well known.
And they support the Y on their own. And then we have Aero Paper Party Rental. And that's where we're getting all our supplies with the tent and the tables. Mohegan Sun. And then we have the Soft Rock 106. And we have, of course, Channel 3. And Channel 3 is going to have 2 Saturday mornings prior to the event with chefs.
And what are they doing?
They're going to show. There's going to be 2 or 3
Oh,
chefs
wow.
from some of the restaurants.
Wow,
Yes.
I know. I didn't know about
Yeah.
that. That's great.
And the New London Day.
Of course.
And mangoes.
Mangoes.
And then we have the Mistick Aquarium.
Very, very good partner.
Yes. And Arugas. Regan Enterprises.
Well, geez, do we know who that is?
Well, I got to tell you.
Talk about generations.
Yes. That's my youngest son.
Yeah. He's come a long way,
He's
Joyce.
come a long
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
and he's a hard worker. And I am, I've always been proud of our commitment to the community. It's a payback, and I have done that for 40 years. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, this is an opportunity I want to say. Unfortunately, we're not seeing the young people come forward.
I think we talked about that a little bit, Joyce.
And
but
I think what we need is to get that. Mm-hmm. I have it with Christopher. Mm-hmm. He's that next generation. Business people, if you're out there, listen to what I say. When you sponsor, I sponsor the Guard. I did summer music up on the stage for 20 years. You are marketing. You're out there. You are speaking for your business. So it's up to you to be out there, and don't be afraid.
Oh, you're walking marketing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you are a successful business person, you have to give it back to the community where you live.
Absolutely.
There's no question
Absolutely.
in my mind. And then we have Chelsea Groton Bank. And, of course, the Greater Mistick Chamber of Commerce, because we have an agreement that we have it for 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm just happy that we were able to continue on with that.
Yeah.
And it's down
and take it to the next level.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, take it to the next level.
And we are.
Yeah.
That's the amazing thing. And the exposure from I-95, I'm anxious to see how the reaction will be, because when they see that big tent up there,
Oh, they're going to know something's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be great. And of course, with the advertisement, and this is just the start of it. This thing is just going to is in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be fantastic.
But I think I've also
and
got
the wine.
to say, well, yeah, they're a recipient.
Yep.
I want to say we're Old Mistick Village, but we're Mistick. And when I say Mistick, that's downtown, that's uptown. We're all one family, and we need to work together, because if we don't, we're going to be the losers.
Right.
And there's no reason why we all cannot work. We did it. I did it with Mystic Coast and Country 25 years ago.
But we're all under the Mistick umbrella. And you want to
But
talk
you gotta
about
work
a family.
for it.
Yes, absolutely. And I agree with that, Joyce. And just the idea of the Old Mistick Village taste of Mistick, if you look at sort of just the demographics, it fits.
Oh, yeah.
You've got the space.
Right.
You've got the parking,
Right.
and you have the visibility.
That's
it
right.
doesn't get any better than that.
No.
I am going to just list a little bit for some of the foodies out there.
Yes, okay, good.
The restaurants. We have Aruga's Grill House and Sports Bar, Mangoes, and if you haven't been there, best pizza around. Vault Coffee Roasters, Mr. G's Restaurant, Portuguese Fisherman, Harbor House Inn at Mistick, another great partner.
Oh, yeah.
Tim Brown, Thai Jasmine, Voodoo Grill, Blue Squid Bakery. I just want to say the best, Connie. Look at me. Cupcakes around. Old Times Restaurant, Mistick Diner, Bridge Restaurant, Octagon, Pink Basil, Catch This, Ryan's Pub, North End Deli, and more. Can we go back to the restaurant that's coming in soon?
Pink Basil. That is on everybody's lips.
Joyce and I are going to be there.
Yes, having crispy duck salad.
Which we're leaving pretty soon to have it. Yeah.
But it was a bank building for 40 years.
Yeah, the Washington Trust.
Well, no, it was Union Trust.
Union Trust first. Yes, I remember that.
And then Washington Trust.
Yes, that's correct.
And I think what's happened in our society today, you're seeing more restaurants because people are going out to eat.
Yeah.
And we are part of that trend where we're trying to have people sit outside when it's good weather. And for the pink basil, they have 2 patios.
Oh,
One
it's
that is,
beautiful.
one is out, and Kevin Clark did the masonry. I mean, he's a gem.
Yeah.
But you can see it from the highway. But it's, you have to come and see it because the interior is beautiful.
Well, you talked about a little bit about a lot of people going out to dinner, but
Right.
I think also what's happening with the Old Mystic Village is that you're sort of getting a fusion
Oh, yeah.
of restaurants.
Oh, yes.
You know, people go out to dinner, but they don't want the same things,
No,
Joyce.
no,
So what you've got is sort of this fusion of
Well,
different
you've got
restaurants.
also Mangoes, who's going to be expanding, and that'll probably open in well, now probably July. But he will have seating outside too,
as well.
But you know, I remember John Kodama. He slept on that table the night before we opened Steak Loft, and it was Steve Rebell.
Yes.
And I'll tell this quick story because it is precious. I had a tenant in Guilford who said, I said, well, I'm looking for a restaurant for Old Mystic Village. And we were starting in the construction. And he said, well, go see Tivoli's restaurant in New Haven, which is owned by Steve Rebell. So I call, because that's not going to kill me, right?
Yeah. Yeah, of
You can
course.
say yes
Yeah,
or no.
yeah.
He said, well, come. I went upstairs with him. He was 24 years old. Hair stood on end. Not a big guy, small. And he looked at me after I explained what I was trying to do, and he said, well, you tell me, why would I be successful there? And I said, you would be in a fishbowl. Little did I know what a fishbowl it was.
And here it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's now 43 years. John Kodama has it. And when he came from Yale, because Steve only wanted Yale graduates, he slept on the tables the night before the opening. He's a hard worker. He'll always be my #1 restaurateur.
Well, you know, Joyce, and you speak of John Kodama again with the younger people. He has also mentored Mara, and I know
yes.
you've mentored Mara.
Oh, yes.
To be that next generation too.
That's right.
So between Chris and Mara, and I think Joyce and I a little bit. We may be pushing that a little bit with some of the younger people. Both of us have been in this area entrenched for a very long time.
Bob Valenti.
Bob Valenti, another friend.
Yes, and he knows how to work.
And also had good, his father
Yes,
also did
I know.
the same thing. So we've all had good mentors. We are the next generation, but there should be another generation coming up. We only have a few more minutes, Joyce. I can't believe how fast.
Yeah.
But why don't you give us the list of music as well?
Well, we have Branded. We have Sugar. Sugar will be playing on Friday night. Hope Road, Steve Kitty, Neil and the Vipers, Sue Manhart.
I love her.
I know. And Kevin Clark does
Yes.
the drums.
Yeah, Kevin Clark. yeah.
Sugar Ray and the Blue Tones, and Rock and Soul Review. So it's got all kinds of music for everybody, and I think it's a date night. It's
a family too.
oh,
It's a family
yeah.
just to experience. And I have to say, so not only are we going to be experiencing the taste of Mistick and the wonderful food and bands, but let's also remember that it's also in the heart of small business.
That's
so
right.
the opportunity to mix and talk about fusion again. We're mixing the food, we're mixing the entertainment, we're mixing the visibility, but we're also giving an opportunity, and hopefully all of you viewers out there, spread the word that we do also have shops at the Old Mystic
Oh
Village.
yes, and they'll be open.
And they'll
Yeah.
be open. Most of them, I say all of them, are
Yeah.
small business
they are.
owners who
We
have
don't
been
have
in-
chains. We did one with Weathervane,
Right,
which
but that was sort of
DNL,
a-
but that was it.
That was it. And Joyce has been a great mentor to myself. You're probably wondering how I'm able to public speak like this and just say whatever I want to say.
That's
And there
right.
are a few people that say, oh my God, here comes Suzette. Well, I used to say that too about Joyce. I was like, oh my God, here comes Joyce.
Yeah.
But I just want to take a few minutes, Joyce, just to thank you in person and from the Mistick community for over 40 some odd years of your dedication, of your commitment, and your continuing a commitment. We know that she has another life now, and that is another
that's half
an hour story. But Joyce deserves this life at her time. She's put in a lot of effort into the shopping centers, along with her brother, Jerry Olson. But just to thank you for your vision.
Well, I have to tell you, it's not just me. I think everybody has the opportunity to be open and accept whatever comes into your life. And I have 4 wonderful sons. I have 6 grandchildren. I have 4 great-grandchildren. But, like you say, I have the love of my life.
Yes, that's like I said.
Going on 10 years.
Yeah, congratulations. In October, she'll be celebrating sort of her 10-year anniversary. But Joyce, you've had the vision, and I know you haven't done it alone, but it certainly has been you that has taken charge and has been a leader in our community, and regionally, too. And in her heyday, everybody knew her in Hartford. She wasn't a quiet person, and I remember that.
Well, see, I had to learn from Suzette.
Well, and I'll just give you this one history from a long time ago. Joyce was one of the women that started, I think it was Groton Business.
Oh, my word.
Yes, Barbara Strother.
Yeah.
And I had joined it, and I thought, oh, my God, there's a bunch of strong women just coming together. But it was her dream to mentor strong women, and I'm grateful for that, and I thank you very much.
Well, I think you are my prime example of how a young woman can do whatever she wants to do and be successful.
Yeah, and not without a lot of little bumps in the roads, but
no, you have to have that.
Yeah,
otherwise
absolutely.
You don't appreciate it.
Right, and embrace the journey. So
That's
Joyce,
right.
Thank you for taking this
on.
Thank you. We want to thank Chris and your future, hopefully, daughter-in-law.
Oh, yes. Oh, she is a daughter.
Okay, she's a daughter.
But may I say, and I'm looking up there because I think your father has the biggest grin on his face.
Yeah, he probably is seeing you and I together, which is trouble.
Yeah,
I miss him dearly. But thank you very much. We are the Greater Mistick Chamber of Commerce. Mistick Matters. Get out there for the taste of Mistick.
Yes.
Good evening.
Welcome.